when we talk about Rocket League, when we talk about this kind of game, it's any given day.
It really is, as Zebra-Nose and Placebo will kick it off. And again, for Zebra-Nose, you can't get too hung up on the, oh, well, you know, we can't make top 4, our season's over. There's still prize money involved, too, for climbing the ladder a little bit. It's not like they're locked into last place, and there is something to be said for having a little bit of pride on the line here, playing spoiler in the final week. Mout has that one away, but again, they can't clear the zone. Scott Smiller's going to be there. Now maybe they can clear as Zensis comes up empty. Does not have enough boost to keep this alive. And Al Dente will just have a relatively easy clear for Placebo. Now it's McLovin taken out of the play by Mout. Godsmilla gets taken out on his way up, so a little physical play from Zebra-Nose. That may be the key, try to throw off the defensive rotations of Placebo. McLovin can't force this through, and Mout, again, coming up empty. They're just, it seems like they're missing a lot of touches that at this level we're used to seeing everybody make.
It really does seem like everything's a little bit slow right now. It does come down to nerves when we're talking about a pressure game like this. This one means everything for Placebo, and Zebra-Nose can put on a lot as a result of that. The game is slowed just a bit, but I wouldn't expect that to be going the entire series.
Al Dente taking his time. We know how deadly he can be when given time and space. And now Mout, he's got Zensis. Can he get that around in front? No, he can't. It's going to kick further to the outside. And Al Dente will have another one downfield. No real quality scoring opportunities for either team. This is where Placebo is right at home. Again, they score so few goals per game, but the fact that they are in the position they're in now, still with a chance at top 2, that's incredibly impressive.
Neither side has really put anything on the target zone for the goal so far. We've only seen 2 shots to 1 from both teams, so really it's just coming down now because they're not getting enough opportunity. They're not really getting enough chance in front of that. That's going to change if you can bait out the defense, if you can make a little bit more physical play. A demo would be critical. That was a great save from Zensis.
Yeah, Zensis using the crossbar as an ally. Normally it just happens to be there and teams take it for granted on the defensive end. That time Zensis knew his only play was to use the old Ironsides, and he did so perfectly there. Now Mout, that's going to drop right down to Godsmilla and McLovin. It's a double commit, and the communication for Placebo, look, they don't have to be perfect. They can afford to have some double commits, but it's a bad habit to get into, and they do still have to play very well with a lot of pressure on their shoulders if they want to have a shot at top 2.
And you did just see they tried to open up an attempt with a good demo. That's a great start here to see in the game. The defensive rotations here coming in and a great stops all over from Zebra-Nose have kept this one at bay, but it's going to break down eventually. They've got to get out of their own half. They are very much contained so far. And Placebo, you're starting to see they're picking up the pace. They're getting a little bit more aggressive, and they're taking the chances that they're going to need to take if they want opportunities in front of this blue goal.
Away it goes now for Zensis. He'll have a lot of time, but McLovin is there for the stop. What can Zebra-Nose do to slow down Placebo? Can they spring the upset here? Al Dente looking for the first strike, and Zensis has that away. One thing you can be sure of, both these teams, you're going to have quite a few saves. That's somehow cleared away. How does that not result in a goal? It's a wide open net, and suddenly the gate just slammed shut.
Two defenders dropping on the ball like that, there's such a small chance and also a high risk for a potential bounce off of a pinch. They hold it together. That's good communication and a good answer to that. But overall, again, we're talking about the defense of Zebra-Nose has done exactly what they needed to do time after time. It really is up to Placebo to mix it up, and because they're playing predictably, so far the defense hasn't had a problem closing out these chances.
Godsmilla's shot, can't follow it up. And that's set away again, just past Al Dente, almost into the orange net. And now to be McLovin to play it away. They are all back, are Placebo, committed to at least keeping Zebra-Nose off the board. They're not really moving forward all that much. Still in a scoreless tie. Could be a 1-0 final. Nexo comes up empty. Mout needs another touch. He doesn't have it. And Godsmilla will just gratefully clear this away, but my goodness, this really should be 1-1. There have been 2 great opportunities right in front of the net that should have been converted and still were scoreless.
I mean, Nexo was frames away from that one. A double commit on the defense blocks out another attempt. Both of these sides holding on for dear life. That one was close to Al Dente, making a great stop against the woodwork at the last second. With 3 seconds left, I can't believe it. We're going into a 0-0 over. No, we're not. I'm wrong.
Oh, it's Senses who just brute forces this way through, and Zebranos, with no time on the clock, steal game one.
And Al Dente looks like he's about to get the clear out, and it's going to be a little bit more effective, but when the force comes in, if Zensis can keep a hitbox on the ball long enough while he's rotating, it forces enough momentum to make the difference there.
That is incredible. Very resourceful stuff from Zebranos. Zensis gets the game winner. These two teams, get this, they're averaging Placebo 1.88 goals per game. Zebranos 1.83, and we have a 1-0 final in game one. I didn't think it was possible. The goals per game went down that game.
I think the boys in the lab probably didn't see that one coming either.
No,
but
they did not.
I got to say, Zensis, that was an incredible hold to play on the 0 second. You want a player that can work to that kind of pressure, and he is the one with that kind of experience to make that happen. We saw a little bit of a fall behind from Placebo. I don't know what the disconnect was in terms of getting the shots on goal, but they just felt a little bit short, especially in the last minute of that game, where we had them, they looked like they were perfectly containing the Zebranos defense and they were working their plays up, but because, again, we talked about it, they were so predictable that there really wasn't a worry for the defense because they could just clear balls out, reset their rotation, play on those back boosts where they could pick up the full boost and roll back in, and they had a lot of chances to where there wasn't a whole lot of double commits, there wasn't a lot of risky play. I think this game, we're going to see a lot more risk from Placebo, and hopefully it pays off.
Yeah, an unusually comfortable game for Zebranos defensively as well. They normally give you 9 or 10 shots a game. That time, only the 5 shots officially for Placebo. And it means a 1-0 series lead for Zebranos. Hey, Placebo, at this point, it really doesn't matter to them how many games it takes. It really just matters that they win. Let's start there, because if they do have a shot at reaching that promotion tournament, as you said, they're going to need Team Secret to lose anyway. So a loss isn't the end of the world, but you're starting to get a little uncomfortable now, trailing Zebranos early on in the series, and Mout almost got an early strike. Now Godsmilla. Oh, that's a great flick out towards the mid, especially had there been a teammate there, but nobody was. And Placebo having a tough time getting the offensive plays started. That's going to kick out off the corner, and Al Dente will have it, but it just looks like Placebo are almost running into each other on the defensive end. This is not the usual stout defensive team we're used to seeing, and they almost got punished again, this time by Mout.
No, it really does look like they've tried to speed up a little bit of their play, which is the right move. I think that they're definitely getting up there, but when they go in for offense, or overall, Placebo just seems exactly as you said, bunched up in the box, not making a lot of plays, building their own chaos that's actually detrimental to their plays on defense. They've got to spread out. The spacing is going to be key there.
Nexo with a full tank of boost, and he may have to follow this play up as well, as Mout not able to make contact at midfield. This could be dangerous for Zebranos, as McLovin has that down in front, looking for a Placebo teammate, but can't find one. Now Al Dente will just have a shot on, but that's going to go off to the side. Again, not many goals, not many assists on this Placebo side. That one's going to be blocked away by Nexo.
Amazing stop here to hold on to this one. It's a bit of a light clear, but no one is going to punish from Placebo right now. I'm not sure why they're not moving up on the challenges. Maybe they're afraid that they won't hold possession off of a play like that, but I think that they need to be the ones in control of the field right now, especially now when they're down in this series. It is so important for them to start picking up, because if they don't, they're going to end up in a 3-2 scenario potentially on either side of this, or even worse, they could be completely knocked out altogether. They have to get the wins here, and they've got to start putting up a lot of meaningful plays today.
Big shot there, just wide, follow-up, that's off the crossbar. They hit both sides of the goal and the crossbar, but they could not find the net. We remain scoreless coming up on halftime. Another shot right down the middle. At least this one was on target, but it's blocked away by Nexo and company. Now Zensis downfield. Godsmilla's going to cut it off. Zebranos, got to say, they've looked like the better team. Zensis, no, who's that? Nexo, he doesn't touch this, and it goes in.
It's just a lot of if not now, when, and Mount says now. And overall, great play. It looked like there was going to be another offender going in for a touch to play it out to the 90. When that doesn't come through, the defense just completely fell apart from PLACEBO. I don't know what's going on back there, but they've got to get it together. Communication may be an issue, but it really just feel like the positioning just isn't there.
So into the second half now of game number 2, and Zebranos, they not only lead the series, they lead the game. Big upset brewing here in week 5. It's going to be Al Dente looking to send this around the corner and in, and again, not able to find a teammate. McLovin is there to help, but that's going to be bombed away, and Godsmilla, you can start to see PLACEBO, they're starting to press forward a little bit more now. Now they have to worry about these big clears from Zebranos going downfield. Al Dente, that's going to be blocked. Senses got a tough read there. Looked like he was expecting it to come a little stronger off the ceiling. McLovin's shot, not a lot of power. That's another thing for PLACEBO. They really made all their money this season on finesse plays. They didn't really have a lot of shots that just blew by defenders. So for a team like Zebranos that just packs the goal line, it's tough to break through.
It really is. They haven't had a lot of opportunity to do so. If they can bait the defense out, that might work. But, I mean, you're watching Zebranos. They're not willing to move. If they hold strong, they can keep this at a 1-0 if they really want to play that game. But it just does feel like PLACEBO, again, they're not willing to put the resources up. They're not willing to play a strong commit. Where we saw in the last game, it looked so promising from Servette when they were willing to put 2 and 3 up. I'd love to see that from PLACEBO. I think that there's a chance they can incorporate that into their play style to take advantage of this defense's strong play. And look at that. All 3 play up. If you have a player who can move in, challenge the ball, and then force the ball back into the box, that's a play where you could potentially get a pass through and make the moves.
It's going to be Mout to send this away. Godsmilla can't keep it in the zone. And again, Zebranos work on the offensive end. Big time demo from Mout. Nexo may have delivered the dagger in game 2.
And you saw, they see. It's really only 2 back here. McLovin's way too far out, so if Nexo can get up to make the play before McLovin can get the position on the ground, they've got a great chance to get the ball in the air for just under the crossbar. Exactly how it plays. And again, Mout seeing the chance of going, I don't really have to air roll here. Instead, I can go for a demo and take care of my teammates. That's good teamwork. That's the great commit you want to see. Zebranos is surprising everybody today.
And unfortunately for PLACEBO, they're the most surprised, and they're the ones on the other side of the field. Al Dente needs to take advantage here, and PLACEBO cannot. Again, just banging it off the back wall. Mout looking for one more. He's got it, and Zebranos are 1 win away from a sweep in week 5.
Well, Mout looks so good. McLovin's actually, the recovery in the air is unsuccessful, and he loses control of the play. His teammate has to come in for the rotation. When that occurs, failure on the defense again. If you're going to mess up on the back line, at least be able to put something up on offense right now, but PLACEBO, they just look a bit discombobulated.
Well, they do still have time. Again, they know that if they're going to make it into the promotion tournament, they need any win. Right now, they need any win to stay alive. And then may even just be looking for one feel-good goal, and Mout is the Grinch who says absolutely not. Zebranos now have 2 wins, 1 to go for a huge sweep here in week 5.
Mout looked so good this game. He takes 4 shots on goal and takes 2 of them home himself. That is a great player to be able to be there, but also he played the support role. You saw, again, he was going for the demo. He sets up for his teammates. Zebranos looked calm, collected, and together. And PLACEBO looked a little bit scared, a little bit anxious, and not necessarily playing to the style that has benefited them the most in the rival series. I don't know what this PLACEBO is, but this is not the one that we're familiar with.
No, it is not. And 5 saves from Nexo, 8 as a team for Zebranos. That's the Zebranos we're used to seeing. We saw them in their Austrian match with Triple Trouble. They made 31 saves in that match. You're not going to win many games doing that, but this is a team, PLACEBO, that they can make a ton of saves against and still have a chance to win because, again, PLACEBO scores so infrequently. They did have plenty of opportunities this game, but I think they did not convert. Zebranos, you talk about teams doing just enough. They did just enough to take game 2, and boy, what a sweep it would be. It would really turn everything on its head if the 1 in 5 team comes into week 5 and says, yeah, we're here to play now.
You know, I talked to some players about Zebranos, and I said, you know, PLACEBO, they should have this in the bag. They should be able to conquer and win this series. I had a strong chance for the prediction here, and I think that a lot of them said, actually, you need to take a second look. This is a team that is built to survive. and they're built to grow on their own play style, and this is the kind of Zebra Nose that you wanted to see in the early weeks that we're getting to see now in week 5, and it's looking real promising.
Al Dente looking to carry this through, and for Placebo, it's got to start with Al Dente. Really, he's been the catalyst throughout this second half season surge. But now Nexo, he's going to try to turn things around for Zebra Nose to start off game number 3. Again, close-out opportunity. What a passing play, but it results in a shot off the mark.
Nexo looks like he's so close to finishing that out with 3 touches. That was awesome. Again, Zebra Nose, they're calm, they figured it out. Their passes are looking a lot better every game. They're getting better in this series, and that's the kind of train that is Placebo. You've got to shut down now. The answer needs to come in quickly. I don't think that they're going to be able to hold on with a short game either. They've got to be able to close out at least 2 goals here in advantage to keep Zebra Nose from playing through and winning 3-0 in this series, which would be absolutely detrimental to Placebo's win percentage as well as their overall standings.
At this point, throw anything at the net and good things will happen. All you're going to do is inflate the save totals for Zebra Nose. They don't on this occasion. It's McLovin off the feed from Godsmilla, and finally, Placebo, after, 11 minutes and 8 seconds, have their first goal of the series.
Yeah, this is a great shot from McLovin. Also, Mount being on the wall, trying to bounce off of that. You don't get the control you want. There's no good recovery in the air. He does jump forward, which closes off a lot of the angle, but he doesn't have the speed to get in front of McLovin, and McLovin knows I can just play to the right, and there's no chance to be able to block off this shot. Nexo
for Zensis. Got the redirect on target, and Al Dente is the one who makes the save. We talk about Zebra Nose making all of these saves. Al Dente is really one of the better defenders, especially one of the better goalies in all of the European region, maybe in all of Rocket League. I think he's rather underappreciated here because, he plays in the rival series, but he has been phenomenal from day one, and now he's got to turn it on the offensive end, and when he's had to, he has done just that. That will kick out. Al Dente needs to be there, needs to be the leader for this Placebo squad. And McLovin looking to interfere in goal, but Nexo's there for his 3rd save. Back the other way, that was dangerous from Godsmilla. He almost redirected that in, but he did get it just outside.
He pulls it in just a bit and goes with the momentum of the ball, and then he gains control of it just as he hits the wall. Had he been a second earlier, that could have spelled trouble, but good control from him. That's exactly what you want on the defensive side.
Nexo now, this could be dangerous as Al Dente is all alone at the defensive end, but again, if you're going to pick a player on this Placebo team, if you want one against the entire opposing team, you would take Al Dente on the back line. He came up with a big stop there, looking to turn it into offense on the other side, but it's Nexo who spikes that down and away. Senses now needed that half flip to get quickly onto that ball. It was dangerous in the middle of the field. It took forever for anybody to get there. And really, both these teams, it does feel like a little bit like they're stalling out in the middle of these games, and it doesn't really pick up again until you get to about this point now when you get down to the final minute and a half.
And I think the play that we've seen from Placebo reflects that a lot, because what they're doing is that when they go in for the chances, as they move on the way out, they're grabbing those corner boosts and forcing the defense to either move out or play back into their line. This gives them another opportunity for pressure, but also their rotations can be a bit faster than their opponents, so when the counterplay does come in, if they're unsuccessful, they've already got people back, they've already got the right boost, and they can go ahead and make plays that are going to be appropriate to the situation.
McLovin blocking that attempt from Senses. And Placebo, they continue to hang on for dear life. Both of the games so far have been a shutout. This one's shaping up to be as well, but again, they're letting Zebra Nose hang around. They haven't delivered the knockout blow in game 3. It's Mount and Senses both up for this. Senses to center, maybe needs one more touch. And it'll be Al Dente, who will just dribble right by Nexo. Mount needs the save, and he does. Here's Godsmilla to follow it up, looking for a 2-0 lead, and Mount has another save.
You're watching Placebo, though, they're not really committing 2 players up. They're really just going for breakaway chances from the midfield. That's pretty risky considering how strong Zebra Nose has been on defense. They keep all 3 players back, even when they're down by 1. They're not willing to risk any room. They don't want to give away a single pixel in front of the goal that they don't have.
Al Dente pops over 1. He's got McLovin there for the empty net goal. Look, Zebra Nose had to chase the game. They had to push forward, and they get burned for it here.
Yeah, that challenge to the midfield was a big issue there for the defense because they were expecting to get that touch and they were already moving into offense. And when that didn't happen, Placebo gets a wide open goal. Great play for them to be able to pull that off. It's critical, again, that they hold on to this game as well as essentially reverse the entire series to hold on.
Yeah, they do need these next 2 wins, but hey, it's got to be one game at a time. You can't get them all at once. McLovin, they try to close out game number 3 here. Al Dente, yet another save. That'll just pad the stats a little more. Godsmilla's got this downfield, closing seconds of game number 3. It's all about survival right now for Placebo, doing everything they can to give themselves even a prayer as we close out the rival series. And when this ball touches down, we will be headed on to game number 4. It didn't look like we were going to see this much of a match because after Zebra Nose had really dominated that second game, it looked like Placebo were kind of lost in the woods, but they come out with a big win here when they absolutely needed it, and we still play on in week 5.
You know, Placebo, from all the breakaway plays that weren't successful, the plays that worked for them really well, both of their shots were assisted. And that's so important. Their passing plays are where they're seeing success. If they can continue building on top of that and getting a lot more chances in front of the goal where they're taking 2 players up or where they get a great pass into center, which we saw a couple times, those impressive clears and good setups so they can hopefully pull away the Zebra Nose defense, that's where they're going to shine. This is what we saw out of this game, and this is what we should have seen out of game 1 and game 2 of this series.
Yeah, and again, a ton of saves for Zebra Nose, but this time Placebo were able to squeak a couple of them through. It's McLovin that gets both goals. Al Dente did have one of the assists, and now we go on into a 4th game. The pressure's still on Placebo because they absolutely need to win here. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'm not sure their top 4 spot is all that secure if they lose here, considering the Juicy Kids still have some work to do later today.
Again, the team secret Juicy Kids match means a lot here. And again, we talked about it, the dominoes are already falling. We don't know where it's going to sit based on win percentage. It really does matter game for game. Each and every one of these is so important. It's not just series at this point. It is, can I close out and take the victory here with the least games played possible and get the most win percentage? Because without that, you can run into some serious trouble. This top 4, we walked in the door today at 4-2 for 4 different teams, and that pressure is still there for each and every one of these players.
Now McLovin trying to get over Zenses to start things off for Placebo in game number 4. But it's Nexo who may get the first quality opportunity. That's blocked away by Godsmilla. Follow up from Zenses. He's got Mount there. They need the corner again, and it's going to be kicked out and away. Al Dente needed that a little further to the left. He had McLovin there, or rather Godsmilla there. But everybody has to rotate back and reset. Placebo. This time it's Godsmilla. Look at how far everybody is. They're so far back when these plays develop. You got to wonder, is that why they have so much trouble scoring? I don't think McLovin's the one who hits this in.
No, watch the play through. So McLovin gets the touch, and there's a drop there from the defender. But the roll through in actually comes in from Mount. McLovin gets just enough pressure on it, but it's not always about hitting the ball. Sometimes it's about what can I force my opponent to do, and that is just as big here in this play as ever. Placebo, again, when they show up early, they're going to have a lot more success. This is the stuff that we want to see out of them in the early series. Now they got to keep proving it again and again.
When both these teams score so few goals per game, it goes without saying, you can't just give them away by scoring for them. It just makes the task even tougher for Zebra Nose if they want to come back here in game 4. We talked about them having to make a comeback. It is still very early. They've got a chance here, and the shot from Mount goes way outside. Here's Godsmilla, 2v1 the other way, tried to call his own number, and that's going to be blocked. Now this match has suddenly turned into a track meet. Back and forth they go. It's Mount looking for Zenses, but again, just going around the corner, didn't get enough power, and that's where the attack stalls out.
You know, Mount had a good chance at that bottom 90, but when he plays it out just wide, he loses the chance. He had the right position and the right speed and a good touch in. They want to get back into this game as quickly as possible. Zebra Nose now back on their heels, but they like when they move into this offensive stance because they think that, for the most part, they've been able to successfully bait out the Placebo defense quite a few times in this series, and they have proven that their speed matters so much here.
McLovin is waiting for this, but Zenses able to get yet another touch. That throws off the entire defense of Placebo, and it stalls out their counterattack. Nexo now looking for Mout, but that pass way too strong, and it's coming right back from whence it came. It's Zentz's now. He'll have a chance, looking to tie up this game. That shot's well high. Al Dente thought he needed a touch. In reality, he didn't, because after that pass was off the mark, everybody just retreated. Now McLovin. Oh, he's given one away to Zentz's. Remember, it was Zentz's that won game 1 at 0. Big clutch goal there, but not able to convert here to tie the game.
Oh, that was a close challenge. So that was actually great. Again, the closer Placebo get to their opponents, the greater they're able to play those out. They've got the mechanical skill to win these through and actually make meaningful touches out to their teammates based on the challenges. They just got to execute on them. When they play back, when they give a lot of room to their opponents, that's where Zebranos is taking advantage of.
Final 2 minutes of game number 4. Could be the final 2 minutes of this series if Zebranos are able to find a couple of goals. That's been a struggle for them all season long, as McLovin will have this one away. Mout's got to circle around on it. He was on the near side, thought about maybe giving way to his goaltender, but instead he had to take it himself. Down to 90 seconds, big time shot, and that's saved by Mout. Actually cleared away, it was just off the mark. Now Al Dente, he'll have time and space to work with, and he didn't make the most of it. Nexo now, not able to find the angle he was looking for, maybe just enough, as Mout got the final shot, and it's blocked away by who else? It looked like Al Dente.
Not many triple commits coming in from Zebranos, but when they do, that was very, very promising. They had a three-pronged attack coming through at all different angles of the goal. Incredible test to the defense of Placebo, and they hold on. That's the kind of performance you want to see, and as long as they hold out on this 1-0, they're looking better and better. McLovin is a monster right now.
You can't appreciate the defense of these two teams, then I don't know what to tell you. It's not a high-octane, high-scoring slugfest, but what it is two teams in a defensive grind all series long. Both teams, for the most part, have had to work for everything. It's Al Dente blocking this one off in the corner. Get some help from McLovin. May not have needed or wanted it. That's in front on the goal line, and Al Dente is going to clear it just off the line again.
That was a scary, highly congested corner there, and it really did look like Zebranos might be able to play something out where someone at the top of the box would take advantage, but no one was willing to commit to the play. 15 seconds left. It's time to get risky.
Oh, that's a clear that went back towards the middle, and it keeps Zebranos alive in the final seconds. That's what Placebo needed. We could be headed to a 5th game unless Zebranos can go the entire length of the field. It's a big clear that could spring them, and a better block by Godsmilla. Mout can't keep this alive, and that will do it. Placebo with a 1-0 victory. They have almost completed the comeback. Now we go to game 5. Absolute must win for Placebo, who are still alive.
If you thought the pressure was on before for Placebo, this game 5 means everything. First of all, Zebranos is putting up a ton more shots from them, and that's got to be pretty scary. In fact, the only one actually taking shots on goal is Godsmilla. This is the closest game as it could have possibly been, and they're in a situation where game 5 is on the line. They've got to make sure they win this one on top of watching what Team Secret actually does against Juicy Kids. But this means everything. If they lose this game, they are out of top 2. There's absolutely no chance for them to do that, and really, realistically, it's already looking pretty tough for them. They've got to put up quite a show here today.
Yeah, they're trying to do literally just enough to give themselves a chance. Get to 5-2. Maybe you've got a chance. At least if you get to 5-2, you know you're safe for next season. You can't possibly drop down below 4th place, but you do still need to get that win. Give yourself as much of an opportunity as you can. That time they did it with only 3 shots. Again, we've seen some teams so far today do a lot with very little to work with. Placebo made the most of the few opportunities they had. It was technically an own goal that gave them the advantage, but at the same time, it's an own goal that they forced with their pressure.
I think it's definitely a kind of a take what you can get kind of thing when you talk about that, and that's okay. They played enough pressure to keep that going. Now they come into this one, they have to own the game. No longer can they play on Zebranose's end and let them control everything. They've got to be the ones in possession. They've got to make sure that the midfield is theirs, because when they get chances to make those passing plays, again, that's where they shine. We didn't see a lot of it last game. I'd love to see it this one, because PLACEBO, they need this today.
Senses coming off the back wall, but that's right at Al Dente. Al Dente gets a little piece of Mout as well, and now the attack is on for PLACEBO. Al Dente is giving up to Senses, now McLovin. Does he have enough boost to follow this? I think he was trying to read the potential clear from Nexo. Hey, had he gotten it, it would have been an all-time great read, but a little ambitious for this point in the match.
You really can't read ahead too much against a team like this who is already playing so conservative. You've got to make sure that if you're going to watch that through, that you've got a chance to actually make it. It's sometimes better to allow a teammate to go for something like that, or for you to just back off for half a second. Again, taking a little bit of a patient approach will go a long way. I'm just afraid in Game 5 we're past the patient approach from both teams.
Al Dente now, he'll have a big power clear. Can that spring a counterattack? Oh, yes, it can, but stop me if you've heard this before. Zebranose, they're right there at the net. They make the save.
I've heard that a couple times today.
Big demo in front, though. Nexo, that's going to leave the gate open, and Godsmilla will score. It's the demo on Nexo that opens it up.
A great, promising play. Actually, so Godsmilla playing so far back on this one was the right move, because he sees it from the midfield. He knows he can move through. When you've got that bird's eye view all the way back and you see both defenders out far too wide to actually make a stop on the line, that's when you make the strike. And plus, he has his teammates already back on the rotation. He's got a lot of support to make that happen.
McLovin needs a second touch, doesn't have it. And now it's Nexo. Nexo maybe looking for something for the highlight reel on his way out. That'll be set away. And back to the drawing board goes Zebranose. Back to the net goes Senses, and he makes the stop on Godsmilla's solo effort. Now McLovin needs another touch. It really does feel like both teams, I think, are starting to feel the effects. Or if they're not starting, they've certainly felt it by now, of this long season, this journey that everybody's gone through to reach this point. Look, it's a lot of games to play. It's a lot of series against top-level competition, or at least comparable level competition here. Zebranose, they're at the bottom of the standings, but it's not like they're just a walk in the park to beat. You do have to scratch and fight and claw for it. And PLACEBO, they finally get a second goal here from Godsmilla, but it wasn't easy.
PLACEBO leaves it all on the field today. Game 5, both of these teams battling it out. Godsmilla's control in these past 2 games has been pristine. Again, you watch him, not only does he get the play over the bounce, but he sees 2 defenders. He knows he can position it just right to where they don't have a strong chance at making a challenge against it. If you're able to play it that risky and still hold control that close to your car, that's a great finesse moment.
Al Dente so reliable at the back against a lot of other teams. That might have been a kickoff goal, but Al Dente gets back in time and keeps Zebranose off the scoreboard. Now Nexo, that'll go all the way across. Mout looking for Senses. He's a little late getting there, and Mout almost had the redirect. Dangerous spot there, courtesy of Zebranose, but PLACEBO are able to get away unscathed. Now Al Dente, after the demo from McLovin, looked like he was looking for McLovin on the pass. It doesn't find its mark. Another intercept at midfield. 2v1 in favor of PLACEBO. Nexo with a very good clear, and he falls down from the heavens and makes another stop out in front. There's a big blast, and it just left Godsmilla flat-footed or flat-tired, just watching that, hoping it was high, and it was.
This was tough because the defense does all the right moves. Nexo not only gets the double play off of an initial great touch from having full boost, and then also using gravity to his advantage. Moving into the offense, though, they're just falling behind a little bit, and this is the chance they've been waiting for. Zensis looking so good here. Watch the setup from Mount. This is so good to play through because the defense is completely on the ground at this point. Going up for the challenge only gives them a short angle to actually block on. As long as you can keep it up and make the right touch in the air, you have no problem getting that goal.
So it will not be a shutout at the very least. We finally have a game where both teams are on the scoreboard. Nexo now looking to set up Senses. He can't, so Mount's got to use the Batmobile. They've still got a minute plus. It's a lot of time to work with for Zebranose. Godsmilla sent that one away. That's a savior badge for him. McLovin Make sure that doesn't get in front, and Mouts come up empty. Whiffs at this point are very, very costly, but a lucky bounce one way or another could spring a big counterattack. Everybody misses here. Mout trying to disrupt McLovin's clearance. And he finally does get this downfield, does McLovin, but he's given it away. Numbers the other way for Zebra-Nose, and they just can't get the pass off. Godsmilla comes up huge.
Both sides not able to maintain possession, but this is good. Oh, they can't make the finish. It's so close. Both sides come down to the last second. They need that security goal, and Zebra-Nose needs something to hold on to play potential overtime. The pressure is on. 30 seconds. This is it. Game 5. This means everything.
Senses now, with time not on the side of Zebra-Nose. Mout needs to keep this as long as he can to try and give somebody time to get downfield. It hasn't worked out. Al Dente was lurking, but he gets back. It's kind of the Gibbs rule you talk about. Just stay back, make sure you don't give up that goal, and they don't. Placebo commit on the defensive end, and they survive. It's a reverse sweep.